name's Jess Wood, and I'm your filmmaker. Hi, how are you? This is my mother,
Hello.
Ellen.
Hi, I'm Ellen Blake.
And we're going to talk a little about the way I got educated sexually.
Uh-oh.
Mom?
Yep.
Do you remember giving me the talk at all, or?
No.
No, it didn't happen.
It might have happened, but I have a bad memory.
Okay. Always with the bad memory.
No, it didn't happen.
Can you remember any sexual education that happened at our house? Why the laughter? What was happening sexually at our house?
Nothing at our house necessarily, but in the neighborhood.
What was happening?
Well, there were a lot of parties where people got nude or were nude, or yeah.
A lot of nudity.
A lot of nudity.
And any education on the nudity?
No, I think the only explanation was, you know, they're all stoned, so just don't pay any attention.
So they're all stoned was my education?
No, they were all stoned. Yeah, that was, yes, that was it. I can't remember much of it. I know that you think it's a cop-out, but I honestly have no memory for much. I know that I didn't give you the kind of education about sex I probably should have, right? I mean, it would have helped you.
I'm not here to raise any guilt.
Right.
Hey! Hey, did you get a sex talk? She told me the one thing of, did you know that you could use aspirin as birth control? And I looked at her, I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, you put that aspirin between your knees and you don't let it drop. And all I could think of is, Mommy's never done it doggy style. Can you hold on to the aspirin that way?
My mother's a scientist, my father is an educator. So they're pretty intellectual people. And they were very, like, bohemian and laid back in many ways, but not like the sex ed stuff. Like the sex ed stuff, what they called it was mating. Like it was totally like all about the science. Like vagina, penis, like there's no little cutesy word for it, which I guess is good, but it's it was funny how like clinical and like removed it was.
My mom it's like taboo to talk about it in a way. Obviously she knows I'm gonna do it or I've done it. I don't know what she thinks, but we never actually sat down and talked about it. I know there was times where like small comments were kind of made at me, like, well, I hope you're not doing things you're not supposed to be doing, because you know you can end up in a bad situation. And I know that's what she was talking about, but she never literally said, I hope you're not having sex, you know?
Sex education. No, I had no sex education, my friend. I guess in grade 6 or something like that, they did stuff us into a little, you know, room and passed out those little books with, you know, Barbie with the flowing hair, and it's like, yeah, about to become a woman, and it's just basically coupons for Tampax. They're just trying to get you to buy shit immediately.
I don't remember a specific sex talk with my mom, but the earliest memory I have about sex was don't get pregnant. And I remember the message that pregnancy ruins everything from a very early age. Really young.
Oh my, you know, I remember more so being in the same room with it going on and people doing it and kind of discovering that way, because I was kind of raised in that open situation. So I kind of remember just seeing it and being kind of, you know, fascinated by it.
Never got the sex talk, and the first time I had sex it was quite obvious I'd never gotten it because I didn't know what he was doing. And I thought it was just about insertion. Like if you put the penis in the vagina, that's it, you've done it. And he kept moving, and I didn't know why, and I finally asked him, where are you going? You're already in. So no, I didn't get the sex talk. I was very embarrassed the first time I had sex, because I didn't know what was supposed to happen.
So I'm not sure. I think one time I walked in on my parents actually doing it, and I must have been 5 or something, and they didn't realize I was there, and I said something like, what are you doing? And I'm sure I said it like that, like an 80-year-old grandmother. What are you doing? And my mother was like, oh, we're just wrestling, sweetie. She told me they were wrestling, and I somehow bought that. I'm not sure if I did or not.
But the only thing my parents ever said was my mother parents. My father never mentioned sex to me. My mother was like, Jacqueline, can you come here? And I went into the bathroom while she was getting ready, and she's like, Jackie, if anybody ever tries to rape you, pee on them. And I was like, okay, what is rape? And after she told me, I was like, well, if I'm peeing on them, hasn't it gotten a little too far? Like, do you have any other words of wisdom, like, for that? And she was like, nope, that's it. And I was like, okay. And I just was really disturbed about the whole thing, but that's it.
You ready, Dave? I'm ready, Slick. Are you? Oh yeah, take it down.
But I learned more about what sex happens from the girls when I played Uno with them at recess. So I think I learned a little bit more about what was going on with the P and the V, and kissing and getting to first, second, third base. And that's what I learned when I was like about 12, 13. So that's pretty much when I learned about sex.
I have to say my only knowledge from sex came from my peers, my junior high school girls. They were very diluted, brand, colorful, huzzy. I called them the everything but sluts, Catholic girls. They would take it from every orifice except for the vagina, because somehow that was crossing a moral line. My ass is bleeding, but my pussy's tight. Those girls, they showed me what a 69 was, which I'm ever thankful for. It took me a while to get it. I still didn't know what a 69 was. They drew it several times with a pen. Several times. I still wasn't getting it. I still fucking wasn't getting it. I still wasn't getting it. I still don't get it. Can somebody please tell me what a 69 is? I still don't get it. Still don't get it.
Most of information what I get about sex, it was from my friend, some pornos, which is what we look so quietly and behind the closed, not one door, 2, 3 doors, and books and porno magazines.
I think inherently I always just kind of knew. Kind of like I never really believed in Santa Claus, I just always kind of knew. So I never really had to be told how sex works. I think I just kind of knew. But I remember I did have to explain it to my little brother.
If I remember correctly, I was in the 4th grade and my mom gave me a book and told me to read it. And I think she gave it to me because I had walked in on my parents doing it. That's what my memory of it is. And I read the book, and I don't think I still understood what it was about. And she had to sit down and have a talk with me, and of course I was like, and this is what you and Dad do? And I was pretty grossed out.
Because there's just no talk whatsoever. But I don't, like, to this day, it's like, how do my parents think I know anything about sex? They're just like, whatever, you know, like she doesn't need to have it or whatever, she'll figure it out. I learned quite a bit from my dad's porn collection, which is not a good way to learn about sex at all.
Do you remember books floating around that had naked pictures of people, and definitely pulled them out to see what they looked like?
I actually asked my mom about it not that long ago, and she said, oh, you had a book. So I guess I was supposed to figure it out for myself.
I went to an all-girls Catholic school, and the nuns made us watch this film, which was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. It was this like really ridiculously graphic birthing scene. So the woman's like, you know, vagina and the baby's head coming out, and then she turns off the film and she's like, do you guys have any questions? And we're all like, where do I sign? How can I become a nun?
My friends and I talked about sex a lot. I mean, everybody did, but it happened so much before everybody was having sex. It's like you knew everything, but the things you really need to know when you're having sex, you don't ever talk about until after. You know, like how it's going to be really awkward and probably slightly uncomfortable. Not that great.
What do you call yours? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, peeping, and that's pretty much what I've known it as since day one. In fact, I have a daughter, and she has a peepee as well, because peepees usually run in families, and not that my peepee runs, because we have very fat peepees.
Better keep talking.